It's the show for the new breed of Georgia Bulldog fan. This is DawgNation at Large with DawgNation insiders Connor Riley and Kaylee Mansell.
Hello, DawgNation, and welcome into DawgNation at Large. I'm Kaylee Mansell with Connor Riley. New location for us. We're at Showtime Bowling in Athens here at the Chick-fil-A Dog Bowl Mark Rick's event that helps support Parkinson's and Crohn's disease. And I'm, along with Connor Riley, I'm also coincidentally sitting with the president of the Jaylen Walker fan club, who's here in the building tonight. Are you fangirling a little bit?
No, I'm very comfortable around him. I've interviewed him a bunch of times. I interviewed him after his historic performance against Texas.
Do you think he knows that you're the president?
I know his family does know that I am the president of the Jaylen Walker, so I'm sure he knows. We'll never talk about it. We're professionals. Look, on Jaylen Walker Island, there is no more real estate. Prices are through the roof. We're doing fantastic. This is exactly the kind of season that I envisioned him having in Georgia's two biggest wins this season. He's been arguably their best defensive player, and coming off of last week, 3 sacks, 7 tackles in the first half. First player to have that stat line against the number one team in at least the last 20 years, and he's a big reason that Georgia was able to win that game, especially in the first half when the Georgia offense did not play particularly well.
I feel like coming into the season, the linebacker room was so stacked, and so maybe Jaylen Walker was someone that got lost in the background amongst a ton of big names. What was it that you saw in him early on that you were like, yeah, this is going to be the guy?
Well, I think it's fair to point out he did lead the team in sacks a season ago. He is a clear difference-making pass rusher, but he's not the like Michael Williams, Trayvon Walker, or even Jalen Carter, where you put him on the edge, you put him in his set spot, and he's just going to wreck shop from there. It's his ability to move around. Like, yes, sometimes he does come off the edge, but he's also got pressures coming up the middle, simulated pressure where he'll stand at the line of scrimmage, wait for a quarterback to try and break, contain, and bring him down. You saw him do that with Arch, where I don't think Arch Manning anticipated Jaylen Walker being able to move that fast, and he learned very quickly. There's a big difference between playing Mississippi State and UL Monroe and playing a future first-round pick in Jaylen Walker.
So do you think that his performance at Texas made him become a first-round pick?
He was already trending that way, but when he gets drafted in the first round of the 2025 NFL draft and they're showing the highlights and clips when he gets selected, they're going to play a lot of clips from that Texas game because he was just that disruptive and that dominant and a big win for this Georgia program.
Yeah, when you look at the numbers, 8 tackles, 5 sacks, 1 fumble recovery. I mean, what he did in the game physically is undeniable. Everybody knows that. But I think for me, seeing all the videos after the game of the leadership role that he took, somebody came down, did a celebration in the end zone, and he's like, hey, stop that. That speaks volumes about who he is on and off the field to me.
Right. It's not lost on me that after that game, Jaylen Walker was the one who was presenting Kirby Smart with the 100th football win. It was Kirby Smart's 100th win. And I think that if the roles had been reversed, if this wasn't Kirby Smart's win, Jaylen Walker absolutely would have gotten that game ball, not just for his performance in that game, but I think what he means to this program. Look, it hasn't been an easy season for Georgia. The loss to Alabama, some of the struggles in games against Auburn and Kentucky. But they're still in a spot where they control their own destiny. I think they're still the most talented team in the country. And Jaylen Walker's off-field impact is a huge reason why that's the case and why this team has been able to stay together. Whereas you look at, say, what Alabama's gone through the last couple of weeks, that team sort of is coming apart at the seams, whereas this Georgia season, because of Jaylen Walker, I think has stuck together and has maybe navigated the trickiest part of their schedule.
I feel like this season has been filled with highs and lows, and our opinions of the team have changed throughout the course of the season. After watching Georgia's performance at Texas, how does your vision of the team change now?
I think that this is a team that is going to now have to win because of their defense, which I think going into the season, that was something we thought might come along and develop over the course of the year. But their best games against Clemson, against Texas, it's been because of the defense. And yes, the offense has had their struggles and they've had time to get it together at this point. But when this defense is right, when you have Jalen Walker and Michael Williams healthy, there has not been a team that has been able to stop them and slow them down. And so it's a little bit of a throwback. It's obviously very different than we thought this Georgia team was going to be, but you also thought that Georgia was going to lose to Texas, and they found a way to go out there and get that win done.
Look, I already made my point 2 weeks ago that I just thought they would lose a regular season game. I've already taken accountability for that. No need to bring that up after such a great win, and you thought they were going to lose too.
If you go back and check the Go With The Flow tape, I will note that I said I'm picking Georgia here, or I'm picking Texas as an emotional hedge to make sure that we're at least not all on the same side like we were for the Alabama game, which they lost. So I gladly took one for the team there.
And how did that work out for you with an L on Go With The Flow?
Yeah, but Georgia won, which I think is the far more important thing here.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
All right, one of the things that we've been talking about, there's an article up on DawgNation.com you should check. With the win at Texas being Kirby Smart's 100th win, you can go read all of our opinions on DawgNation.com. Where did you rank that win on all of Kirby's all-time?
So I actually had it lowest. I guess I'm the hater here. I had it at number 10.
Really?
I think that there are 7 wins that are inarguably better than this Texas win right now. And it's sort of in a second tier with 3 regular season games. The Texas game, the Tennessee game in 2022, and the road game at Notre Dame in 2017. We've seen how those seasons played out for Georgia, and that's why right now I have the Texas game behind them. But if this season ends up being a championship season where they do win a national title, I think that this Texas game can climb up in the list of regular season wins for Georgia there. But I'm not going to put it ahead of the win over Alabama, the win over Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma. Just because it's a regular season game and there's no trophy for it, it's hard for me to put it that high.
Last thing, I know you probably don't want to talk about it because it was one of your tireds a few weeks ago, but how does the outcome of Georgia and Texas reshape the playoff narrative, if at all?
It's too early to say, but this is
Cop out.
Can I answer the question here? You're not even giving me a chance. I do think that this is going to be a feather they have in their cap because after that Alabama loss, sort of looking at Georgia's schedule and the difficultness of it, they had 3 tough games where against ranked, top 20 teams in the country. At Texas, at Ole Miss, home against Tennessee. They were going to have to go, in my opinion, 2-1 in those games and then win out the rest of their games to get into the playoff because I don't believe that a 10-2 Georgia with the schedule that they've played would get left out of the playoff. They got the Texas win, a win not a lot of people expected them to get. And so if you're able to get the Ole Miss win, I think that that's going to make that path to the playoff a lot clearer. But you've also now got the possibility of the door being reopened and getting into the bye. Because while it's way too early to start looking at SEC championship predictions and tiebreakers there, because of Georgia's schedule, if they get through this slate with 1 loss, even if Texas, A&M, and LSU all finish with 1 loss, the strength of record is going to help Georgia so much that they're going to be in that SEC championship game.
I understand where he's coming from, but guys, look, it's never too early, especially in the way that this college football season has played out. Now, with that, we are still taking applications for the Jaylen Walker fan club, so make sure you blow up Connor's email as well as his Twitter account. And DawgNation will be right back with interviews from the Dog Bowl after this. From the Chick-fil-A Dog Bowl, it's Kaylee Mansell with Jon Stinchcomb, the former UGA offensive lineman, and I would like to say the star of Monday's episode of DawgNation Daily.
Thank you.
And look, I've been seeing a lot of that tonight. I feel like every time I see you, you're chatting it up with someone, someone's excited to see you. What's it like being surrounded by former teammates and getting to see them in the first time in a while?
Well, it's fun. It's fun to be here. It's a great event. Obviously, Coach Rick, what he stands for and the cause brings everyone out, but when you get a chance to catch up with some old teammates, some fans that you've known over the years, and then see the team having a good time, it's fun for everybody.
And speaking of Coach Rick, when you think back to your time playing for him, what's your favorite Coach Rick memory that comes to mind?
Winning. There were some rough years, and especially in the transition, it's not always fun when you get a new coach. But obviously the hobnail boot game in Tennessee was a special memory. We had a big win in the SEC championship against Arkansas, and then the Sugar Bowl win against Florida State. There were some great memories just along the way that he was instrumental in being a part of.
Okay, so apart from the hobnail boot game, because obviously everything after that comes in second place, when you look back on your time, what's the memory that stands out, whether it happening on the field or off the field?
Golly, wow, that's a big question. What happened at the University of Georgia? It was an awesome experience, first and foremost. I think scoring a touchdown against Auburn in a game that we needed to win to make it to the SEC championship, probably near and dear to my heart. What's funny is my brother still gives me a hard time about it because David Green's my roommate. He's the quarterback. He ends up fumbling into the end zone. I don't block the defensive end because it's a draw, and I'm going to block the safety, so I don't end up blocking anyone on the play. And he's like, you didn't block anybody, you just fell on a ball. I don't know why that's great. So he loves to give me a hard time.
I imagine that's one of those topics that somehow comes up at like family Thanksgiving every year, so you can embarrass you for the whole family. All right, let's talk some dogs. I usually don't get to talk to you about these sorts of things, so it's cool to be able to sit down with you. One thing that we've been talking about is since the Texas game was Kirby Smart's 100th win, where does that game rank on all of Kirby's 100 wins for you?
Golly, it's incredible. when you play at the level that Georgia has played in the tenure of Coach Smart, they've played in so many big games. And this past Saturday ranks as one of the best regular season games. It makes me think of the environment at home in Stanford or Sanford State. Wow. Forgive me, Dog fans.
I did that the other day too, if that makes you feel any
brutal.
better.
I know the difference. But against Tennessee, that was an awesome environment. But to go on the road and win the way they did in a hostile environment against the number 1 ranked team, it's a top 5 regular season win for them. Because they've played in so many big games, I don't know where that stands against. It's along the same lines as the game against Notre Dame, another regular season fun one for all the fans. But the Rose Bowl against Oklahoma is pretty high up there. A couple national championship games ranked pretty high on the list as well.
I think that game solidified a lot of things for Dogs fans because this season has been filled with plenty of highs and lows, from the preseason hype to the game at Kentucky. How did the win at Texas change your perception on this Dogs team?
Well, I think it surrounds around the defense, right? I think you see the number of healthy bodies, having a healthy Warren Brinson and Micah Williams and Jaylen Walker in complement of Stackhouse and Chambliss and Kristen Miller. I mean, there were some guys that really took their game to the next level. And what had been a little bit of a concern, you look at the previous week against Mississippi State, and you're going, I don't know, there's some holes in that secondary possibly. But the number of turnovers they create, the sacks, we haven't seen sack numbers like that in quite some time, and then tackles for loss. I think it was surrounded that defense, and now you look at the other side of the ball and say, can we consistently build on the sparks and little scenes that they've created offensively to be that complete team that we think they're capable of?
You can't talk about the defensive performance and the sacks without talking about Jaylen Walker and what he was able to do in that game. Is this a guy that can thrive at the next level, and what did that game do for him in terms of getting his name out to not just Georgia fans but everyone?
I think he continues to exemplify why he's getting the national attention that he is. When Micah Parsons and J.J. Watt are tweeting you or hitting you up on X, I don't even know how the right phrase is.
We still call it Twitter.
Okay, good. All right. On Twitter, then it shows. I think he's very similar to Micah Parsons, a guy that can play off the ball linebacker, but is a demon when he's rushing the passer. The 2 tackles for Texas are no slouches. I mean, the left tackle for Texas is a prospective first-round draft pick, and he consistently was able to provide that pressure that he's shown us all season long. You combine that with the man that he is. I mean, I've had the opportunity to sit with him for 20 minutes at a networking event, and you think there's something special about him. You like him. He represents everything that you should and would hope for from a player. And then when he performs the way he does on Saturdays, you think, man, I'm glad he's wearing red and black.
All right, last thing. Now the Texas chapter has closed, and it's on to the next. It's never too early to start talking about Florida. From your perspective and your time as a player, how much does that rivalry truly mean, and what do you expect from this game?
Well, the rivalry has changed because back in my day, we didn't beat them. So it still remains my biggest rival to this day. With that said, these guys don't know any of that. They know an inferior opponent from the East. Well, that dynamic has changed, obviously. And you look at Coach Napier and you say, what a tough slate that he had heading into the season. So they're kind of like the dog backed into a corner trying to scratch and do what they can. But the dynamics of the Georgia-Florida game have certainly changed from the 20 years that it's been from when it was Coach Spurrier and the battles that we saw and what they've become now.
Look, I've kept you for a while. I think I hear people in the background chanting your name. You're a man of the people, and they want you back. Thanks for sitting with me.
I enjoyed it. I'm a man of the people.
A man of the people. You heard it here first. With David Pollack, I just watched you bowl. Looking up there, you've got the highest score. Are you talking crap to these young guys about how you've still got it?
No, because we're supposed to be a team. Now, I need more from them, and they're not pulling their weight, but we got to find a way to do a lot better. We're not doing great.
All right, so we're going to talk about your time with Coach Rick in a minute, but out of personal curiosity, I have to ask about your role in the college football 25 video game. How much prep work did that take? What did that look like? I could ask you 1,000 questions about it.
It was really cool. It's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly a lot of hours. Like I do a couple hours, at least 4 hours a week, sometimes 8, sometimes 12. But it'll be like this. It'll be like, all right, 50-yard line, 4th and 1. This is what the script will say. 4th and 1, they ran it and got a first down.
So was it?
No, go.
Oh, I don't play.
That's what you got. Like literally, that's how you do it. Like
That's
they
insane.
ran it, they got the first down, go. They threw it, they missed. Like so. I'll get back to you. You never hand it to a person, right? That's the rules. Never hand the mic away. But it was really cool. My son plays it. I love the game, so it was fun to be a part of it.
So was it one of those things that when you got the call to do it, did you have to keep it under wraps that this was something that you were doing? How hard was that?
We did it we recorded for like a year and a half, at least, before anybody knew who was on it. So, listen, I told my friends. I didn't care. I just couldn't post it like on social or anything like that. But no, it was it's just an honor. I mean, I played the game. Like I was in the game, which was really cool. Now I was 47 because we didn't make money, but it was an easy yes. Like that was a no-brainer.
I have to say it's weird being here with you in person and hearing your voice because I've been hearing you in living rooms everywhere for like the last couple months. So to have this with you is really cool. But I do want to talk about your time with Coach Rick. When you look back on it all, what's your one fondest memory of him and what's the biggest thing that he taught you?
Man, the list is long. If this was in the Middle East, I'd be there. I don't care. But just like it was so important to me on my spiritual journey because like I just learned faith as a senior in high school, and to go to college and have a spiritual dad, like a model of what that looked like. So somebody that could still be competitive and tough, but treat people with respect, love people, put people first. So it was just, it meant a lot. It was cool. He still means a lot to me to this day. I'm still in a men's group with him on Wednesday mornings at 6 a.m. And he shows up and he's the best.
You can't talk about the performance at Georgia and Texas without talking about Jaylen Walker as a former linebacker yourself. What do you make of him as a player and now getting to see him and know him as a person here on the bowling lane?
Well, I was talking trash because like you got a lot more sacks to get up. Like you got to get your weight up if you want to get to the record. But nah, just an awesome young man. Like I didn't know him really well until today, but a good dude. But just means a lot to this team. They just wrecked Texas, and that was really fun. So I think he'll determine a lot of the success of Georgia moving forward.
Thanks, David.
No problem.
Live from the Dog Bowl, I'm Kaylee Mansell with the head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs, Kirby Smart. Everywhere I turn, dapping somebody up, somebody saying hello. What's it like being in a room with all these people and being able to catch up with some former teammates and other guys?
I love it. I love the fact that I get to see all these guys. Most of them, there's very few guys I played with, but there's a lot of guys that I coached against from other places or, played for Bobo, played for Searles, played for Coach Rick, played for Coach Donnan. So it's really cool to get to see everybody in one place. And it's like a Letterman's event, but it's for a good cause, and it's also a lot of great people here in the community.
I heard a rumor that you're not bowling tonight. You might be one of the most competitive people I've ever seen. How come you're not out there tonight?
I'll tell you honestly why I'm not. Because last year they talked me into bowling, and I threw one ball, and I threw a strike, and I walked away. And I said, that's it. I'm never bowling again. I threw my only bowl, I threw a strike, and I stopped. Because if I go back and do it, I can only go down from there. So I can't do it.
Hey, look, got to go out while you're on top. I think I told you that last year. It still remains today. All right, so we do this event in honor of Coach Rick, someone that I know is near and dear to your heart. When you look back on your time with him, what's your fondest memory with him, and what's the biggest thing that he taught you?
He taught me a lot of lessons because I went from Bobby Bowden to Nick Saban to Mark Richt, and Coach Rick was so influential on putting family first and how much it meant to have a program and do it the right way. And our staff was great when I was here. Willie Martinez, Rodney Garner, Mike Bobo, Neil Callaway, all these great coaches and all these great players I got to be with. But Coach Rick led that group from a really good spot. We had devotions every day at staff meeting, and it's just something that always has stuck with me. Like, he cared more about the person and player than he ever did about the result of the game.
So you, along with Mark Richt, met with the team tonight before the event. What did you tell your team about the importance of this event and what it does for Parkinson's and Crohn's?
Well, they have a platform, and whether they believe it or not, they owe this community something, and you got an opportunity to give back. And our players love doing it. First of all, they like to bowl. They like to win and compete. And when you're doing it for a good cause, like Parkinson's, a lot of them have had family members affected by Parkinson's or Crohn's. And so when you have that in your family, you want to do something for the people in this community.
All right, last thing. Games are still going on right now. Hypothetically, if you were a betting man, which player would you put your money on to bowl the best game tonight?
Ooh, based on what
the DBs aren't an answer because I know you're a little bit biased in that regard.
I was going to say Dan Jackson. So Dan Jackson, he's got a good score, but I saw Warren Brinson carrying a belt, which scares me, which means if he repeats, we'll never hear the end of it. So I got to hope that it's not Warren Brinson, but he would be my bet.
Congratulations on your 100th win. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you so much, Kaylee.